Unit sales, all of them were below expectations. EPS of 99 cents. Street was expecting $1.05. Revenue below expectations. Vehicle sales down 4.1% compared to last year. By the way, that's wholesale as well as retail vehicle sales.
Not all cars are worth your money. Some are so unpopular that dealers cannot give them away, even with big discounts. Today, we are counting down the 10 worst-selling cars in America right now, backed by real numbers, real reasons, and lessons you need before heading to the lot. Nissan Murano. There was a time when this mid-size crossover was a suburban favorite, parked proudly in driveways as a stylish but practical choice. Families appreciated its sleek design, comfortable interior, and versatility for errands, sports gear, and weekend trips. In the late 2010s, it stood out as a more elegant option compared to boxier rivals. Fast forward to 2025, and the picture has changed. Buyers are bypassing it, leaving dealership lots burdened with rows of unsold inventory. The numbers tell the story. In August 2025, more than 20,600 units sat in stock, while only 3,957 sold over 6 weeks. That equals a supply of 234 days, more than triple the industry norm of 60 to 70. Dealers could halt orders entirely and still be busy selling through excess stock well into the following year. Discounts and financing promotions have failed to clear the backlog. The causes are clear. Shoppers today expect more technology, stronger safety packages, and better efficiency, yet this crossover has not seen a major update in years. Rivals such as the Toyota Highlander, Honda Pilot, and even its smaller sibling, the Nissan Rogue, feel fresher and more in tune with modern tastes. Reviewers now call its interior uninspired, its packaging less practical than larger SUVs, and its value weaker than compact models offering similar space at lower prices. Affordability pressures make matters worse. Higher interest rates, rising insurance premiums, and economic uncertainty have tightened family budgets. With better resale value available elsewhere, even longtime loyalists are defecting. What once felt like a safe choice now looks like a compromise, and buyers are refusing to settle. When a mainstream family crossover can no longer move off the lot, it highlights a wider truth. Even established names are vulnerable. This decline is not limited to niche models or experimental technologies. It signals that the market is shifting beneath the most familiar of nameplates. If a dependable, mass-market option can struggle this badly, what happens when a luxury electric sedan priced above $100,000 faces the same challenge? Stay tuned to see how even prestige and performance are failing to keep cars off the slow seller list. Porsche Taycan. The promise of an electric revolution once carried this sleek performance sedan to glowing headlines, dazzling auto show stages, and a wave of early adopters eager to prove that electric vehicles could deliver more than efficiency. With futuristic styling, blistering acceleration, and the badge of a legendary German sports car manufacturer, it was marketed as the answer to those skeptical of battery power. The image was compelling, a luxurious machine that fused heritage with modern innovation. Yet, only a few years after its launch, the story has changed dramatically, and sales momentum has ground nearly to a halt. According to recent industry data from August 2025, this electric flagship now suffers from a backlog of 229 days of dealer supply. That number towers over the already concerning figures for electric vehicles more broadly. For comparison, the national average days supply for battery-powered cars stood at 87 in July, meaning this single model lingers on lots for nearly 3 times as long as the category itself. Even at a time when manufacturers are cutting prices and offering attractive financing to clear electric stock, this once star attraction has fallen far behind.
Several issues explain the decline. First is range. Competitors like the Tesla Model S Plaid and the Lucid Air deliver longer distances between charges and faster charging capabilities, all while boasting comparable performance figures. Buyers spending more than $150,000 expect not only prestige but also cutting-edge convenience, and falling short on those expectations can be fatal. Second is software and technology. Owners have reported glitchy infotainment systems and inconsistent updates, which undermine the futuristic promise. Third is the market climate itself. With federal tax credits expiring after September 30th of 2025, many buyers rushed earlier in the year to secure incentives, leaving dealers facing a cliff in demand. For luxury enthusiasts, the disappointment is sharp. The allure of an electric sports sedan with a racing pedigree was supposed to guarantee exclusivity and desirability. Instead, resale values have weakened, inventories have ballooned, and confidence has eroded. Even loyal fans of the brand hesitate when they see rivals offering more practical advantages at similar or lower prices. If a six-figure, high-performance electric sedan can lose its shine so quickly, the implications stretch beyond the luxury segment. It raises a difficult question for the mid-priced electric market. How can they possibly survive if the halo models themselves cannot hold consumer trust? Kia EV6. When this compact electric crossover first hit the scene, it seemed destined to redefine its category. Eye-catching styling, rapid charging speeds, and accolades from the automotive press marked it as a breakthrough vehicle. It even won prestigious awards for design and innovation, promising to capture the imagination of mainstream buyers who were still uncertain about committing to a fully electric future. Early adopters were thrilled, dealers celebrated its arrival, and the manufacturer positioned it as a bold competitor to the most successful models in the segment. Yet only a few short years later, momentum has stalled, and inventory tells the story of decline. According to data compiled in August 2025, this crossover now sits at a supply level of 217 days, far higher than the overall electric vehicle average of 87 days. For dealers, that means row after row of unsold vehicles gathering dust while incentives stack up in an attempt to move metal. The root causes are multi-layered. One critical blow was the loss of federal clean vehicle tax credit eligibility in the United States, which shifted demand toward the Hyundai Ioniq 5, a corporate sibling that still qualifies for the credit under final assembly rules. Buyers in a cost-sensitive market had little reason to ignore thousands of dollars in potential savings. Another factor was the relentless pressure from Tesla, which cut prices across its lineup and continued to dominate mindshare with charging infrastructure and software updates. Even when the Kia offered stylish alternatives, range numbers and dealer experiences did not carry the same cachet. On top of that, cross-shop competition from Hyundai, Ford, and Chevrolet meant that the once unique balance of affordability and modernity no longer stood out. The result is sobering. A vehicle that once symbolized the coming wave of stylish and attainable electric mobility has instead become a case study in how quickly advantages can erode in a volatile market. Dealers who once praised its arrival are now struggling to clear inventory, even with heavy discounts. Shoppers, meanwhile, are finding more reasons to hesitate, knowing that resale values may not hold. This once bright star is proof that winning awards does not guarantee long-term sales success. From an electric dream losing its glow, we turn to a traditional sedan whose story is one of inevitability rather than surprise. Chevrolet Malibu. The mid-size sedan once defined the American road trip, the suburban commute, and the daily family shuffle. For decades, this particular nameplate was among the most familiar in the Chevrolet lineup, a staple of both retail and rental markets. Families appreciated its spacious cabin and predictable dependability, while fleets stocked thousands to meet the needs of travelers who expected nothing flashy but everything functional. Yet, as tastes changed, the ground beneath it gave way, and by the middle of the 2020s, its story reached its final chapter. In the spring of 2025, General Motors confirmed that production of this long-standing sedan would end, closing the book on one of the last traditional four-door cars in its stable. Sales data reflected the writing on the wall. Volumes dropped significantly in the second quarter of the year, and inventory piled up with limited retail interest. While it remained useful to rental fleets, private buyers moved on. Sport utility vehicles and crossovers captured the imagination and the wallets of the American market, leaving sedans like this one with shrinking share. In fact, industry analysts note that sedan sales in the United States now represent less than 10% of total market share, a staggering fall from dominance only 2 decades ago. Even heavy incentives and steady fleet demand could not alter the trajectory. The challenge was not one of engineering failure or reliability scandal, but of changing consumer desires. Buyers looking for practicality now prefer crossovers that provide similar fuel economy while offering higher seating positions and greater cargo flexibility. Families once loyal to the sedan format now find their needs better met elsewhere, while younger buyers view sedans as relics of an older era. For enthusiasts, the farewell is bittersweet, a recognition that an entire segment is slipping away. For dealers, the slow movement of stock is simply a reality of shifting markets. When even the most dependable name in a category can no longer find an audience, it signals how permanent the transition toward crossovers and trucks has become. From a sedan bowing out quietly, we now turn to a full-size truck that is not retiring by plan, but collapsing by circumstance. Nissan Titan. Large pickup trucks have long represented the heart of the American automotive market, with buyers demanding strength, durability, and presence. Against entrenched competitors from Ford, General Motors, and Ram, one Japanese brand attempted to carve out its share with a full-size entry that promised to blend reliability with ruggedness. Early on, it found modest success, appealing to a small group of loyalists and winning attention with powerful V8 engines and distinctive styling. Yet, as the years passed, competition grew fiercer, and this truck could not keep pace. By 2025, its decline is nearly complete. The numbers are striking. In the second quarter of 2025, only 350 units were sold across the entire United States. Year-to-date, sales reached just 1,906 units, representing a staggering 91% drop compared to the previous year. Analysts tracking full-size truck performance describe it as virtually extinct in the American market, a footnote in a segment otherwise dominated by six-figure volume sellers. Dealers report that inventory sits untouched, with potential buyers either unaware the truck still exists or dismissing it outright in favor of better-known and more capable rivals. Part of the collapse stems from limited variety. Rivals offered a broader range of trims, powertrains, and advanced technology packages, while this model stagnated. Marketing failed to generate excitement, and resale values collapsed, further discouraging prospective customers. Another factor is timing. As economic pressures grew with rising interest rates and higher insurance premiums, buyers who might have considered alternatives to the best sellers became more risk-averse. In such a climate, purchasing a truck with uncertain long-term support and weak residuals felt like too great a gamble.
What remains is a cautionary tale. A full-size pickup can thrive only if it delivers not just capability but also confidence. And without consistent investment and competitive features, even the most durable designs fall short. For this once hopeful contender, the story is nearly over, with volume so low that spotting one on the road now feels like a rare event. From a disappearing truck, the story moves on to luxury electric vehicles and crossovers that are proving just as vulnerable. Audi Q4 e-tron. When this compact luxury electric crossover was first unveiled, expectations ran high. It carried the badge of a respected German automaker, the prestige of the e-tron brand family, and the promise of blending premium style with electric efficiency. Positioned to compete directly with the Tesla Model Y, the Hyundai Ioniq 5, and the Volvo EX30, it seemed perfectly timed for a market rapidly embracing electrification. For buyers who wanted refinement without stepping into six-figure pricing territory, the proposition was compelling. Yet in 2025, the vehicle finds itself stranded, sitting unsold for months at a time. Industry reports in August of 2025 reveal a staggering backlog. With a 271-day supply, dealers have nearly 9 months' worth of inventory on their lots. That is more than triple the national average for electric vehicles, which stood at 87 days in July. For perspective, a healthy supply is generally considered to be around 60 to 70 days. Such numbers underscore not just weakness, but severe difficulty in connecting with buyers. Even with incentives and lease offers sweetened, demand has not rebounded. Several factors explain the malaise. First, the vehicle's range and charging speeds lag behind rivals. Buyers comparing it to the Tesla Model Y or Hyundai Ioniq 5 quickly notice the advantages in practicality those alternatives offer. Second, software usability and interior design choices feel dated compared to newer entries in the segment. Premium customers expect seamless technology and distinctive cabin experiences. When those are missing, interest fades. Finally, brand positioning has created confusion. The Q4 e-tron sits in a crowded lineup where it fails to clearly differentiate itself. leaving it overshadowed even by its siblings. For luxury buyers who once equated the brand with unshakable quality, the disappointment is particularly acute. Resale values have softened, and some dealers report difficulty convincing even loyal customers to make the leap into electric with this model. The lesson is simple but sobering. A recognizable badge does not guarantee sales success in a hyper-competitive electric market. As inventories stack higher and incentives deepen, the Q4 e-tron is becoming a case study in how quickly prestige can erode. From a struggling premium crossover, we now shift to a British entry whose long-standing heritage is proving no shield against modern challenges. Jaguar F-Pace. There was a time when the arrival of a stylish British sport utility vehicle carried enormous weight in the premium segment. Bold design, luxurious detailing, and a heritage built on prestige gave this mid-size crossover the power to turn heads and draw buyers away from German rivals. For a brief period, it seemed to deliver, combining athletic proportions with upscale finishes that distinguished it from the crowded field. Yet as 2025 unfolds, the reality is one of steep decline. The F-Pace is now among the slowest movers in its class, a once promising model fading into obscurity. Market data confirms the extent of the slump. With a 239-day supply, dealers face more than 7 months of unsold inventory. This is far beyond the national norm of roughly 70 days and nearly 3 times the electric vehicle segment's backlog. What makes the story worse is that Jaguar's US sales overall have been sliding, compounding the difficulty of finding buyers willing to take a chance on a model with a reputation for poor reliability.
Indeed, reliability has been a persistent thorn. Electrical faults, drivetrain quirks, and disappointing ride quality have plagued owners. Even when new, reviews often highlighted concerns about material quality and technology that lagged behind competitors. In today's market, where Genesis, Acura, and other brands are surging by offering flawless execution at competitive prices, the shortcomings stand out even more starkly. Buyers who once considered British flair an advantage now view it as a liability, especially given weak resale values and limited service support. For dealers, clearing the backlog requires heavy discounting, sometimes amounting to tens of thousands of dollars off the sticker price. Yet even that has not proven sufficient in many markets. Buyers want long-term confidence, not just short-term savings. As a result, the F-Pace is fast becoming an afterthought, a casualty of a brand struggling to define its future in a shifting industry. The decline of this model is not just a sign of one vehicle's weakness, but a reflection of a broader identity crisis. From fading prestige, we turn next to raw muscle, a heavy-duty truck that once symbolized American strength, but now sits idle in vast numbers. Ram 2500. Heavy-duty pickups once symbolized unstoppable demand in the American market. Rugged, capable, and versatile, they filled the needs of contractors, ranchers, and weekend towers who relied on enormous towing and hauling capacity. For years, the Ram 2500 stood alongside Ford and General Motors as a serious contender in the work truck segment, boasting powerful diesel engines and class-leading comfort. Yet in 2025, even this stalwart is showing cracks. Dealers now face swelling inventories as buyers turn cautious and market conditions shift. Motor One's August 2025 report shows the Ram 2500 carrying a 233-day supply. That means nearly 8 months of unsold vehicles across dealer lots nationwide. Compared to the overall new vehicle market average of 73 days supply at the end of July, the backlog is glaring. Trucks that once sold before they arrived at dealerships are now languishing for months, with demand falling short of expectations. Several factors explain this sudden reversal. First, economic pressures have taken their toll. With interest rates climbing and insurance premiums rising, many businesses and individuals have chosen to hold on to older trucks rather than commit to new financing. Construction slowdowns across several regions have further reduced demand as companies delay or cancel fleet upgrades. Second, oversupply has been a self-inflicted wound. During the chip shortage of 2023, manufacturers over-ordered to catch up, but as inflation surged, buyers pulled back, leaving dealers with far too many trucks in stock. For prospective buyers, this has created opportunities to negotiate significant discounts, but for the brand and its dealers, the glut is damaging. Models that should inspire confidence are instead being flagged as slow sellers, hurting resale values and future interest. Heavy-duty buyers are especially sensitive to depreciation, knowing that their trucks often double as investments in their livelihoods. Seeing inventory sit unsold erodes that confidence further. The sight of rows of heavy-duty trucks collecting dust illustrates how even the most trusted horse workers are not immune to market forces. It is a reminder that strength alone does not guarantee sales when financial realities intervene. From a heavy-duty pickup stalled in oversupply, we now turn to a mainstream electric crossover that was supposed to lead a revolution, but instead finds itself stuck in the middle. When this electric crossover was launched, it was supposed to be the centerpiece of Volkswagen's transformation after the emissions scandal, a model that would carry the company into a new era of clean technology. It promised a blend of German engineering, everyday usability, and approachable pricing. For families wary of making the jump to electric, it appeared to be the ideal compromise, familiar enough to inspire trust, yet advanced enough to signal modernity. At first, enthusiasm was strong, and marketing campaigns presented it as the company's answer to the Tesla Model Y. Yet just a few years later, its reality on the showroom floor tells a starkly different story. By August of 2025, Motor One reported that the ID.4 carried a 297-day supply. That means nearly 10 months of inventory scattered across dealer lots, despite the fact that average electric vehicle supply nationwide stood at only 87 days in July. In other words, while the electric market itself is struggling to maintain balance, this particular model lingers more than 3 times longer than the category norm. Even with lease deals and 0% financing offers, consumer interest has flatlined. One reason is usability. Owners and reviewers consistently criticize its capacitive touch controls and laggy infotainment system, which create frustration rather than convenience. In a market where Tesla, Hyundai, and Kia deliver slicker user experiences, the ID.4 feels clumsy. Another factor is range performance. On paper, its numbers look competitive, but in real-world use, especially in cold weather, range drops significantly. Buyers who are already anxious about charging networks see this as a deal-breaker. Finally, the design itself fails to stand out. Instead of leaning into bold styling, the ID.4 looks unremarkable, blending into traffic rather than making a statement. The financial backdrop makes things worse. With tax credits expiring after September 30th, 2025, buyers rushed into earlier quarters to claim benefits, leaving a vacuum in demand. For a model that was already losing appeal, the timing could not be worse. Dealers face swelling inventory, and consumers increasingly dismiss it as neither premium enough for luxury shoppers nor affordable enough for budget-conscious families. A car designed to symbolize rebirth has instead become a cautionary tale. From an electric crossover trapped in mediocrity, we move now to the muscle of American roads, a heavy-duty truck once built to move mountains, now struggling to move off the lot. Ford F-550 Super Duty. The sight of a towering work truck with the power to haul equipment, tow massive loads, and withstand punishing job sites has long been an American icon. For years, the Ford F-550 Super Duty represented the upper echelon of this tradition, a model designed not for weekend warriors, but for municipalities, contractors, and fleets who needed unyielding strength. With ladder frame construction, diesel engine options, and the ability to support cranes, dump beds, and other heavy gear, it was built to be unstoppable. Yet in 2025, even this heavyweight has been sidelined, not by mechanical weakness, but by economic reality. Reports show that inventory for the F-550 has swelled to unprecedented levels. In Philadelphia, supply exceeds 2,300 days, which translates to more than 6 years' worth of stock at current sales rates. That figure is not just alarming, it is almost unimaginable in the automotive world. For dealers and fleet managers, the glut signals how severely demand has collapsed. Rising interest rates have made financing new fleet purchases difficult, while higher insurance premiums and tighter credit conditions have pushed companies to keep aging trucks in service longer rather than upgrading. The downturn also reflects changes in the broader economy. With fewer new construction projects being launched, the demand for heavy-duty fleet vehicles has weakened. Municipal budgets are stretched, and private contractors are holding off on purchases. Even aggressive incentives, discounts worth tens of thousands of dollars, have not been enough to convince buyers to commit. Unlike consumer-focused trucks that can rely on lifestyle buyers, the F-550 exists in a narrow market where practicality dominates. When the math no longer works, orders vanish. For a vehicle built to handle the hardest work, seeing it sit unsold on dealer lots is striking. It is still tough, still capable, and still respected for what it can do. What changed is not the machine, it is the market around it. Rising costs, higher interest rates, and shifting priorities have made buyers walk away, no matter how strong the product is. That shows the real truth. No brand, no badge, and no reputation is untouchable. Even the toughest trucks can be humbled when the numbers stop adding up. Each one of these 10 cars is proof that in today's market, nothing is guaranteed. Mainstream favorites, luxury icons, even heavy-duty giants. If you want more straight talk, not sales talk, hit subscribe, share this with someone who's shopping, and stay sharp, because one wrong choice at the dealership could still cost you thousands.